Are you one of those who wear new clothes straight from the store without washing them first? If you're nodding your head in approval, then we might have some bad news for you. A newspaper recently stated that it is better to wash new clothes from the store before use. Most clothes appear to be full of many types of toxins, some of which are even carcinogenic. In this video, we look at which chemicals can be found in clothing and how you can protect yourself against them. When you buy new clothes, you expect them to be new, clean, and not already worn by someone else. But unfortunately, that's not always the case, because new clothes are full of pesticides, dyes, fragrances, anti-wrinkle pesticides, flame retardants, antimicrobials, water repellents, deodorants, softeners, and stain repellents. These substances can sometimes enter the body through the skin. Our skin, which has a total surface area of about 2 square meters, is almost completely in contact with the clothing we wear. According to Stockholm University, thousands of chemicals are used in the production of our clothes. Some people can quickly develop itching, blisters, and swelling. In the longer term, the consequences can be more serious, as some of these substances can disrupt hormone balance, and others have been identified as carcinogenic. In particular, amines, phthalates, bisphenol A, formaldehyde, and nanoparticles can eventually damage your health, according to researchers. When you purchase clothing for yourself or your kids, you typically don't think about what they're made of. But with more options and sellers available nowadays, do you really know what you're getting? The danger that clothing contains toxic substances is particularly high with cheap clothing from dubious websites such as Shein and AliExpress. Researchers found a dangerously high concentration of the highly toxic lead in children's clothing. Even baby clothes sometimes contain dangerously high levels of toxins, which can adversely affect babies' health. A recent investigation by Canadian consumer magazine Marketplace found that out of 38 samples of children's, adults, and maternity clothes and accessories, 1 in 5 items had elevated levels of chemicals, including lead, PFAS, and phthalates. As for the people buying and wearing the clothes, children who put clothes directly in their mouths might face increased risk from the toxic chemicals. The chemicals can also get into the body through pores in the skin. Colorful and dark clothing carries a higher risk of toxins than lighter variants. Clothing from China, Egypt, and India in particular contains many toxic substances. Yet an older study by Greenpeace showed that well-known clothing brands from major European chains can also contain many toxins. In the Greenpeace study, dozens of garments were examined for the presence of plasticizers, NFEs, NONYLPHENOL ethoxylates, and amines and azo dyes, synthetic dyes. Both NFEs and plasticizers can disrupt hormones in the body. People are becoming more health conscious when it comes to food, water, and makeup products, so we need to talk about it each time after all, even to make more people aware. In other words, consumers all over the world should know about the unpleasant chemicals that are still present in their clothing. Should our clothing come with a potential health hazard tag? It is often the case that workout, water-resistant, wrinkle-free, and stain-resistant clothing contains chemicals such as PFAS. Exposure to PFAS poses a threat to long-term health, such as kidney and testicular cancers, liver damage, and developmental issues. Specialists consider them a forever chemical commonly used in food, clothing, and homes. Much of the fast fashion clothing contains azo dyes, which are a group of cheap dyes that produce strong colors of clothing. These dyes have a carcinogenic effect. That's because our skin can easily absorb it and possibly lead to skin and eye irritation. Phthalates are in jeans, faux leather, and raincoats. United States Congress instituted a ban on phthalates in children's toys and products in 2008, but some producers still use it in manufacturing. This chemical links to major human health effects, such as ADHD, diabetes, breast cancer, and reproductive issues, posing a greater risk to children. Formaldehyde is used as a wrinkle-free agent on clothing that protects the garment from wrinkles or shrinking. The new smell of clothing may confuse consumers, meaning it is formaldehyde that emits the new smell. Formaldehyde commonly links to respiratory issues and skin irritation. An increased concentration of BPA was recently found in polyester socks by the California Environmental and Health Center. The substance BPA, which can be found in artificial fibers in clothing, among other things, acts in the body as a potent form of estrogen. This causes increased cell division, which can increase the risk of tumors. The disadvantages of synthetic clothing are not only unfavorable for humans, but also the environment is flooded with microplastics. Microplastics are showing up in fish, salt water, air, and even our drinking water. According to the Plastic Pollution Coalition, 83% of drinking water samples worldwide have tested positive for microscopic plastic fibers, and a large part of these microplastics come from microfibers in our clothes. These microfibers specifically come from synthetic fabrics, such as acrylic, nylon, and polyester, and every time clothing with these fibers is washed, microfibers are released. In fact, any single synthetic garment can release as many as 1,900 fibers per wash. And since these fibers are too small to be filtered by waste treatment plants, they end up in our waterways and oceans in the form of microplastics. So, what can you do? It might be a little difficult to resist the soft and perfect feel of the new clothes, but putting them straight on after getting them from the store can leave scope for skin-related issues. Always remember that new doesn't mean clean. If a clothing item doesn't meet the above conditions, then washing it before wearing is really important. But of course, that also releases chemicals into our water system and can pollute the environment, so it's clearly not an ideal solution. Additionally, laundry detergent, especially used in traditional dry cleaning, can also contain harmful chemicals and increase your exposure. So choose a safe detergent, use organic dry cleaning, or avoid dry cleaning in general. Stay away from cheap clothing from unreliable parties. Also stay away from synthetics and opt for materials that require fewer chemicals, such as wool, silk, linen, hemp, and cotton. It is wise to choose organic clothing, which, according to research, contains fewer harmful substances. In Europe, for example, we have the EU Eco-label, which restricts the use of toxic substances in clothing. Another quality mark that guarantees lower amounts of toxins in clothing is OEKO-TEX. It is also wise to keep clothing with prints and decorations to a minimum, as these greatly increase the risk of toxic substances. Another good tip is to wear older clothes at home on days off, and show off your newer clothes at work or at parties. This way you can last longer with your clothes. So, long story short, many people do not realize that clothing can contain toxic substances. Because you are in contact with these clothes for a very long time, you can absorb the substances through the skin and thus negatively affect your health. By choosing organic clothing from trusted brands with a label, you can reduce your exposure to toxins. It is smart to wash your new clothes before wearing, which ensures a strong decrease in toxins, bacteria, and fungi. The fast fashion industry truly has created many consequences for not only the environment, but also for us consumers. Toxic clothing is something to watch out for as consumers, as we do not know what toxic chemicals companies are using to alter our garments. Well, that's it from today's video. What do you think about this research about toxins in clothing? Do you think you'll pay attention to this in the future? Share your thoughts by commenting below. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and share this video with your friends to help spread awareness. Also, consider subscribing to our channel for more interesting videos every week.